guys, and welcome to another video where we look at the THU rig library player and look at a rig library expansion. Now this one is from Overloud. It is Vintage Collection 1. I have done Vintage Collection 2 before, so if you haven't seen that video, check it out after watching this one. So Vintage Collection 1 again is some classic amps in a few different rigs. Now we're going to be going through that. Now I've got a different camera setup. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. It basically, because of how close my cameras are to me and my lenses, I can't actually get a full shot in one camera. So I'm going to be switching between them and the GoPro. Let me know in the comments if you think this works well. I think it should look a bit better, but it's going to be a different angle. So just keep that in mind. So looking now, we'll just go to THU Slate Edition and have a look at the rig library. So Vintage Collection 1, we've got a fair few different amps. We've got the Serotonin OTS. So this is basically a Dumble style amp by Serotonin. I'm just going to move this over here. And you have a whole lot of different switching options on there. Then you got the Stevie Ray, which is a modified OTS, basically to get that Stevie Ray sound. Then you've got a Dumble ODS, so a lot of Dumble style tones in here. So that is really cool. Then you've got a Brownface Deluxe, a Deluxe Reverb, a Super Lead, a Music Man 1974, and a Selma treble and bass. So a cool collection of different amps and different cabs. And you can see here you've got 4x12s, 2x12s, bunch of different mics, lots of cool things. Now I'm using the Spring Age as a bit of reverb, especially for the clean sounds. For the dirty sounds, I might turn it off so we don't have as much getting in the way with the dirty sounds. So I'm going to start off with this OTS on the clean. We're mainly going to be playing with the Telly again, of course, but I actually might try some other amps, other guitars like the Rickenbacker. I'll see how we go with the tones, just something different. We'll just get them in for a few different tones. But mainly going to be the Telly. I find a Telly translates well. A lot of people might not like Tellys, but I find they can cover the dirty and clean stuff well, so that's why I like using, whereas Strat can be a bit harsh on the dirty things. Humbuckers kind of sound a bit dull clean, so it's good, especially for vintage amps. Okay, so that was the clean bright that I started off in the beginning. I was on 2 pickups. If we go to the bridge pickup, it's a pretty nice, kind of slightly Fenderish, but a bit nicer clean sound. I can do a little bit of that kind of funk thing too. Don't know really what I was playing there. Now we'll go to the FET mode, which adds a little bit of a FET boost in there. A little bit thicker than the bright, not as kind of in your face. Can turn it up just a touch. If I go to the series sound. Let's move to the jazz setting. And you get a bit thicker and darker again. And the last clean one for the OTS is the rock setting, which is a little bit brighter and a little bit more kind of oomph. Probably good for a little bit of that kind of rhythm stuff. Now we're going to move into the gain thing. So if you haven't used Overloud rig player or haven't seen it before, like I said, I do have other demos out, but basically the color of these circles is really how much gain that particular rig has. So orange, you're going to get more of your medium crunch tones. I just turn the reverb down a little bit, make it a little bit brighter, and turn the mix down a bit. That was soft and dirty, mate. Siri? Starting to get that rich kind of dumble mid-range thing going on. Now this is level 6, which I'm guessing just puts the gain. Just the neck. Really cool sound. That's very specific kind of mid-range character you don't get from like your Marshall Fender style amps. Now with the FET boost. And level 8 is the highest gain. Cool, so that was the OTS, which is the first amp in this lot. Now you can mix and match the cabs and get more tones. Really, the gain sounds were 4x12 V30 and the clean sounds were G12Ms in a 212. So if you mix and match them, you're going to get a few different tones, and you can use your own cabs just by turning the cab off. Now let's go to the Stevie Ray model. Now this is mainly crunch tones. I think there's one clean tone which we'll start with. And yeah, it's a similar amp. So you've got your jazz and rock settings, your FET settings. Now it's on different settings here, and I think it's tuned a little differently. Got a few different cabs too, but same kind of types of tones you're going for here. Just the normal neck. That's that's the clean tone. It's pretty nice and warm. You go to the bridge, do something. Plenty of mid-range though, really cool. So let's go to these tones first, and then we move to the rock and gain boost tones. So Fret 3 jazz. Kind of cleans up a bit nice. Gets real dark with the telly. Let's move on to pretty much just a little bit up with the rock setting, but it is a different cab. A lot more mid-range. A lot more bite. And with the boost, now we go to the rock mode, so it's the same gain, I think, but oh, very different with different cab. And the highest gain. So that was the Stevie Ray model. Let's move on to the Dumble. I'm going to probably have to start moving at a quicker pace. We've got a few amps to go through, but yeah, those were really cool. So this Dumble, you've got basically a lot of the clean stuff and then a lot of the overdrive stuff. But you're going to be in the similar territory because they're all based off similar sounding amps. A little bit cleaner here, a little bit janglier, I guess. A little brighter, different cab. Maybe a bit too scooped with the mid. It kind of works. Just a bit more volume. And again, a different cab. Might be better for leads. Bit more reverb. and then it's the same, just different. Seems to work better for kind of maybe the rhythm. And again, more volume. Well, it's kind of got an acoustic quality like to it, so we turn this down. And then the rock mode. Starting to get a bit loud now. Okay, let's go to the first of the overdrives. I might skip through these a little bit faster because we're starting to hear a lot of similar tones. Oh, that one's got a real thing about it. I'm going to turn down this mix again. Now we've got some more overdrive. Very distinct tone. Not really my favourite. Now we've got some pedals adding to it, an MXR overdrive. Oh, that's a really mixed tone. And more of the high gain stuff. We'll go to gain 8. Real nasal quality there. Not sure about that one so much. Next you've got a brown face deluxe. So this is an early kind of Fender deluxe, just post tweed being a 62. So it's a bit warmer than say the blackface. So you've got this cranked 1x12. Does have a crank deluxe kind of vibe to it. Let's go through some of the cleans. I think these are all going to be quite similar, just with different cabs. Well, that one's really kind of boxy. Maybe being in an Alnico speaker. This is with a tube screamer. That's kind of cool, and a bit of a more crunch sound. Moving on, we've got a deluxe reverb. You know, this is basically your later blackface deluxe, a bit cleaner, a bit more scooped. Already you can hear it's also a bit quieter. Let's put the volume down on 1. Let's go volume 3. Next, we'll move on. We'll just quickly listen to it. Very similar tone. Now, a lot of the clean tones are going to be very similar. Differences, cabs and stuff. It's just, you know, how amps generally go. The clean tones tend to sound quite similar. But yeah, let's go to this gain. So this is with an SD1 overdrive. Oh, really kind of that, yeah, super overdrive through a clean Fender kind of sound. Not really to my taste, but some people like that tone. I prefer a kind of more mid-rangey Vox, Marshall, Hiwatt kind of thing when it comes to overdrives, but you know, some people like the script Fender with an overdrive. Let's move on to the super lead. I don't want to spend, we've got what, three more amps, so move on, because otherwise you're going to be bored and click off this video. So, we'll hear one clean sound, but you don't, I mean, I love Marshall cleans, but a lot of people are going to use the Fender stuff for cleans. Still not super clean, but it's kind of cool. Okay, and straight onto the crunches, because that's what we want. So gain 4, MXR overdrive. And now we've got a bit more. And you can hear that really thicken up. Now it's without a pedal on high gain. Quite a boxy sound there. I think that's going to be similar. Almost exactly the same, just slightly different mics. And we've got a crank super leader. And this will be the same, but different cab setting. Useful if you're double tracking to use something like these two different sounds. They sound very similar, so they fit together, but they're different enough so you don't kind of get that stacking of frequency. And we missed one at the top because it was a big buff with the gain 2, because it's going to be different sounds. Sweet. So where do we go from here? I think we go to the Music Man. Now the Music Man is cool because it is a hybrid amp. It has solid state circuitry and tube circuitry, which gives it a kind of clinical but nice clean sound. So let's go to the clean. I'm going to go here and I want to try some funk chops. So the main difference between these is volume and the cab. So this is with a 4x12. A little bit different kind of mid-range, a little bit more bottom end. And then the volume goes up and it's a little bit less clean. A little bit more thickness, a little bit more weight. Probably good for this kind of. And it's the same with a different cab. Again, double tracking, that could be enough difference to really add a bit more. And let's just go to some of the crank sounds because we didn't really listen to them. So again, it's the difference, just the cab. We'll go to the 412 and listen to that. So you can hear the kind of, it's not as smooth as a lot of pure THU amps would be, but it's kind of got this edge to it. Coming up to our last amp, which is another clean beast. Now it's the Selmer treble and bass, which is designed as a bass amp and as a guitar amp. Now the bass settings here are really made for guitar, but what you could do if you have a bass is turn the cab off and use it with an amp head cab or another bass cab or maybe an old Fender cab or something, that kind of emulation. Seco cabs make some great free cabs and there's some cool bass ones in there. If you want to use it for bass, just for this kind of vintage bass vibe. But we're going to be using it for guitar today, so let's start with bass 1. Bass 2, I think, is quite similar. Just got a bit more mid-range difference there. Maybe we go to the bridge. Now, I don't really like the bass settings as much. They have their own vibe. Maybe if you're playing jazzier stuff or with P9s or something, they work. But I like the normal clean. So let's go to the normal clean. It's just got this kind of flatness to it, which is actually kind of cool. And then you've got some overdrive sounds, which are quite subtle. They're not really that overdriven. Of course, you can bring the gain control up, but we're not really doing that. We're just showing the stock sounds. But in case you don't realize, you can change a whole lot of settings in these if you really want to push those sounds. I just wanted to have a look at the sounds, but... So that was basically nearly every sound in Vintage Collection 1. I'd really like to go in depth and listen to all the sounds because seriously, if I was looking at it, I'd want to know what I'm getting. But you can of course skip around. I'm going to try and put each amp in there. It takes a lot of time for me to kind of find that. So if the video goes up before I do those things, you can just go through yourself, or I'll put up the timestamps at some point. So that is Vintage Collection 1. You get a lot of bang for your buck, really, with the different cabs. And once you start mixing and matching and start using that, adding pedals, adding your own cabs, you really have a plethora of tones. And it actually feels quite nice to play. I actually really like some of these rig libraries coming out from both Overloud, and I've got Chop Tones ones. So like I said, go check out the other videos. I've done a bunch. As you can see, these are the rig libraries I've got. The Brit, the Saw, the Vox, and then Vintage Collection 1 and 2. I've done videos for all of them now, so this will be the final one of stuff I've got. I may purchase some more soon. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to look at plugins. I do a free plugin Friday every single Friday. I'm going to be doing a bunch of different guitar videos, some of them plugin stuff, some of them going to be with pedals and such. And then I've also got a lot of synth and kind of sampler stuff going as well. If that's more your fancy, if you're more of a producer, less of a guitarist, you can look at them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.